Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, let's have a little update from the Ukrainian front in the war between NATO and Russia. Some big developments occurred in the past 24 hours especially in Avdiivka, and then you got in Kupiansk. These are the main fronts, and obviously the Ukrainians claim that they landed on the left side, left bank of the Dnieper River in Kherson. That's another claim that I can't verify, but if true, good for them. So let's start with this article coming from Ukrinform, and I have a map with some update from the Russian side. So let's start with Ukrinform, and it's from the 29th of November 2023. Ukraine's general staff, 87 combat clashes on front lines. Air Force launches 16 strikes on enemy positions. Now that's a big one. I didn't think that the Ukrainians still are capable of doing that. In the past 24 hours, it doesn't mean necessarily that this is true, or what the Russians are saying is true. In the past 24 hours, 87 combat clashes took place on the battlefield in Ukraine. The Air Force of Ukraine launched 16 strikes on Russian manpower, weapons and military equipment clusters, including their anti-aircraft missile systems. No civilians dead, no civilian infrastructure attacked. Why? Because they're the good guys. But the Russians always do that. From the very beginning, you understand. But this is Ukrainian media outlet. What are they supposed to tell you? The truth? All right, so we have here, in the past 24 hours, 87, In total, the enemy launched 14 missile attacks, 18 air strikes and 68 MLRS attacks on the positions of Ukrainian troops and populated areas. I'm very surprised they said on Ukrainian troops. That's a change. Yesterday, the occupiers attacked Ukraine with 21 Shahed 136/131 combat UAVs. All enemy drones were intercepted. Okay, don't believe that. As a result, or be skeptical 100%. That means don't believe it. Why? My friends, not one hit its target. They must be very good then. They're winning. As a result of Russian terrorist attacks, unfortunately, there are dead and wounded among the civilian population. Here it is. Private residential buildings and other civilian infrastructures were destroyed and damaged. Goes by default, it seems like. The following areas were hit by Russian airstrikes: Ivanivka, Stepova Novoselivka, Kharkiv region; Spirnie, Chasiv Yar, Toretsk, Donetsk region; Smivka, Berislav, Kozatskie, Kherson region. More than 100 settlements in Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv, Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, Dnipropetrovsk, and Kherson regions came under enemy artillery fire. So they came under, remember, Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv. Oh, that's not it. That's it. So here it is. Right there. So all that, Chernihiv, Sumy, and Kharkiv, they came under. This is what the Russians report. And the Russians don't report anything. This is all Ukrainians' attack on civilians, according to the Russians. Let's read one. Let's go and select this one. Belgorod stated that Ukrainian forces dropped a makeshift explosive device from a drone onto the farmstead. 2 civilians were injured. Okay, so they all say only this. The Russians don't say anything about destroying anything here. It's just the Ukrainians destroying. Here, you see the yellow stuff? The yellow stuff is what according to the Russians, the Ukrainians launched and had drones and missiles and airplanes destroyed. So let's read all these things. So this is right here is Kupiansk. This is in Kharkiv region, and then we're going to Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, Kherson. So let's start with this. I'm very interested in air warfare. So let's start with this one in Kupiansk. Russian air defenses shot down several Ukrainian drones. Several. Okay, all of them as the other ones. Okay, the same thing here. Drones. What's here? Again, several drones. The same drones. So this is drones over here. Now let's say airplanes here in Donetsk. Russian air defenses shot down a Ukrainian Sukhoi 25 aircraft and several Ukrainian drones. Let's see. Russian airspace forces shot down a Ukrainian MiG-29 fighter aircraft and a HARM missile. And I think it's one in right here in Zaporizhzhia. Russian air defenses shot down several Ukrainian drones. And here the same thing. And here in Kherson, Ukrainian forces shelled the city infrastructure, civilian infrastructure, using artillery. Russian air defenses shot down a Ukrainian drone. Okay? Now you got that. Drones and Sukhoi 29, Sukhoi 25, was it? Sukhoi 24, was it? 25 and MiG-29. Where is that? Right here. Correct. All right, let's go back to the... Now you know how everything, how the contact line is. Let's go to the Ukrainians. In the Volyn-Polisia directions, these are in the north against Belarus. The occupational situation has not changed significantly, I guess. Right? This is right here, and again, nothing happened in the north, in Severshtchina and Slobozhanskaya sectors. In the Kupiansk direction, the Kupiansk is, Jesus Christ, this is what comes. Kupiansk is right here, this region in Kharkiv. So in the Kupiansk direction, Russian forces conducted unsuccessful assaults in the areas of Sinkivka and Petropavlivka districts in Kherson in Kharkiv region. Ukrainian defense forces repelled 5 enemy attacks. Well, they said that the Russians advance in this area right here, and the Ukrainians evacuated children from this area. Now let's go back to the Ukrainians. In the Bakhmut, which is south, Artemovsk, in the Bakhmut sector, the Russians conducted assaults in they gave it 1, 2, 3, 4 Donetsk region, where the defense forces repelled 16 attacks. Ukraine's defense forces continued their assaults south of Bakhmut in Donetsk region, inflicting manpower and equipment losses on the enemy, entrenching themselves on the achieved positions. So let's go and see where Bakhmut. So this is, as I said, Kharkiv with Kupiansk, and Bakhmut is right here, Artemovsk. So let's see what these guys are saying, the Russians. Battle Group Yug, supported by aviation and artillery, have improved the situation along the front line and liberated the village of Artyomovskoye. All right, so and what's going on here? The Battle Group Yug successfully repelled an attack by Ukrainian troops using air and artillery strikes. Let's go back to the Ukrainians, where they're going to probably jump from Bakhmut. They're going to jump to Avdiivka, which the situation is very bad for the Ukrainians. In Avdiivka sector direction, the enemy kept trying to encircle Avdiivka. You got about 6 kilometers left and you are surrounded. And that is right here. That's all they got. They said 7 yesterday, but I probably like 4 because you know how things go. Ukrainian soldiers firmly hold the defense, inflicting significant losses on the invaders. You should just retreat and behind and find new positions to defend. The enemy's offensive actions to the south of Novokalyonove, Stepove, Avdiivka, Tonenke and Pervomaiske of Donetsk region had not success, where the defense forces repelled 27 attacks. Now we're going to Marinka, which is south of Avdiivka. Right here, let's see what the Russians said in Marinka, in Avdiivka. Battles are raging in the city. Now we go to Marinka, where the Ukrainians go in a second. Battles are raging in the city. And the Ukrainians say, in the Marinka direction, Ukrainian defenders repelled 17 enemy attacks in Krasnohorivka, Marinka, and Novomikhailivka districts of Donetsk region. In the Shakhtarsk sector, the enemy conducted unsuccessful assaults southwestern of Staromayorsk and Vodiane, Donetsk region. So that is from here, this area before they get to Zaporizhzhia. So they were talking about this region here. Now, in the Zaporizhzhia direction, the enemy conducted unsuccessful assaults west of Verbove and Rabotnie and in the Zaporizhzhia region, where Ukrainian defenders repelled 9 enemy attacks. So that, and then at the same time, the defense forces of Ukraine continue to conduct the offensive operation that is dead, but they continue something in the Melitopol direction. I will show you where that is, inflicting manpower and equipment losses on the Russian troops, weakening the enemy along the entire front line. All right. So this is Zaporizhzhia. Let's put it in the context right here. This is Zaporizhzhia line right here. This is Melitopol. This is what they say, the Ukrainians, that they're gonna, the whole line is right here. It used to be Melitopol, Berdyansk. Right here. It's all dead, but nevertheless they still say. So let's see what the Russians are saying. Russian forces hammered Ukrainian troops using air and artillery strikes. Robotinho, the one that the Ukrainians also mentioned. Russian forces hammered Ukrainian troops using air and artillery strikes. And this is drones. Russian air defenses shot down several Ukrainian drones. And then we're going to go to Kherson. And in Kherson, remember the left bank right here, in Krinky, right here, they claim, the Ukrainians claim they crossed the Dnieper River and they are located in this area. Let's see what the Russians are saying. Ukrainian forces fired 37 artillery shells at the village. Obviously, they're not going to say anything about the Ukrainians landing on the left bank. Ukrainian forces shelled the village civilians' infrastructure using artillery. And here, drones. Air defenses shot down a Ukrainian drone. And let's see what the Ukrainians are saying regarding their landing on the left bank of the Dnieper River. In the Kherson direction, Ukrainian defenders maintain the recaptured positions on the left bank of the Dnieper River, are engaged in counter-battery warfare, inflicting fire damage on the enemy's rear. In the past day, and I'm quoting, the air forces of Ukraine launched 13 strikes on Russian manpower, weapons and military equipment clusters, and 3 strikes on enemy anti-aircraft missile systems, the General Staff said. Well. For their part, units of the Ukraine missile forces struck an enemy command post, 5 air defense systems, 9 artillery units, an ammunition depot, and an electronic warfare station. Wow. So where is that? This is the front, and it's interesting how the reporting comes from 2 different sides. Nothing here by Belarus. This is Belarus right here. This is Poland. And supposedly the Russians are shelling all this part, but the Russians say nothing about it. Well, this is it, my friends. Unfortunately, on both sides, destruction and killings. They could stop it, but, some people make some profit somewhere. Therefore, no, they still make profit. I don't know if the Russians, and I don't think it's going to happen soon, to be honest with you, break the front somehow and move towards Kiev, then the war could end. Otherwise, it's going to be going like this until one of the leaderships of the sides, which is either United States of America or Russia, will collapse. I don't foresee happening here, because these things are very organized and settled here. This guy got us by the balls. Like, they talk about the tyrannical and dictator Putin. Psst, okay, well, use that for them. But here, they don't do it tyrannically. They make it through the system. This is the system. It's a very fair and honest system. But if you say what you're not supposed to, they will immediately censor you or fire you. That's the example they want to give you. Therefore, you have to zip it. You go and vote for whatever garbage they put in front of you to vote for. The politicians that are financed by those interests who somehow are not responsible whatsoever in whatever happens in Ukraine, but they make big profits. It's a coincidence. My friends, don't let yourselves being fooled by these guys. They're not smarter than us. They're not. It's just they had more time to focus on the garbage. That's all. We have jobs. We have other things to do. And that's their job. Making money, profit, and being in control of peasants, us. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.